Death Valley, which we went to in the winter, of course. We're not going to go in the summer. And Voyageurs and Royale, I wore the same clothes. They were all the same temperature. Royale in the summer, in the high summer of July, was the same as Death Valley in February. So, and I guess that's why we balance these kinds of trips out that way. So anyway, John and I went to Royale, and we went to Death Valley in the end of February and the beginning of March, in 2023 and 2024. And what I'm going to do here is show you a little bit of where those are, if you don't know. Oops. I can't get, oh, there we go. Royale is way up there. Voyageurs is way up there. And of course, Death Valley is at the other end of the continent. So I'm going to take you on a road trip up Michigan, over there, and John will take you from Detroit Metro all the way to Las Vegas to rent a car and go. So anyway, as you can see, the ones that I'm starting with, they're right on the border of the United States and Canada. As a matter of fact, if you can get a signal at all up there, all I got on Verizon was, welcome to Canada. Welcome to Canada. I'm not in Canada, I haven't had a passport or anything, but welcome to Canada. So anyway, just to give you a little background, you probably all know this, which is the least visited national park in the lower 48? Iowa. And which has the longest visitor stay in the lower 48? Royale as well, and you will see why when I talk about the logistics and also the destination itself. And it also was the first island national park dedicated by Franklin Roosevelt in 1940. So if we look at where it is up there, we get an idea of why it's the least visited. It is so far to the north. And it takes a lot of logistics to get to. You have to go by, you're not going to get there by car. You're not going to canoe and you're not going to swim. You need a ferry, you need a boat or a plane to get up there. Now, it's really funny, this island was really somewhat accidentally put in the United States. It was historically, some people say that the earlier people, I don't know, in the government back in the early 1800s wanted that island because of the copper deposits. So a lot of copper deposits there. It was, they were used by the Ojibwa Indians and their ancestors for the copper back then. Other people say it was a map-making error that Royale even came to the United States and certainly part of Michigan, because it's really closer to Minnesota and Ontario. But anyway, it is part of the United States now. It has never been totally inhabited. It is only inhabited now in the summer. If you want to go there, you're going to go maybe into May to very, it's going to be a Memorial Day to Labor Day sort of vacation because it is closed then. And even the prior tribes did not have any sort of residence there year-round. So anyway, so that is Royale where it is, and this is one other means you can get there. If you have a limited schedule, it's probably easier to go by seaplane, but most people are, and this is right behind our cabin there where it would land, and they were going, buzzing around all the time, so there were a lot of different times that you could take a seaplane. It is certainly the shorter of the trip. It's only 35 to 45 minutes from the Keweenaw Peninsula in Michigan. Now we go up north in the summer to meet family, generally, and my brother took, his family took the seaplane. We took the ferry from Copper Harbor, very much at the tip of the, right there, at the tip of the Camino. We decided to go all the way up because the Camino is kind of a destination itself, in my opinion. And but you can go from the Hancock-Houghton, which is the National Park ferry. Either way, these are not inexpensive routes. The seaplane was about $400 last year anyway for a round trip, and it's $175 per person. From Copper Harbor, Houghton Hancock is variable. You can go from Minnesota. It's a shorter, much shorter ride up there, and that boat goes around the island. And but the prices more variable, depending on where you're going to get out. But it's only an hour and a half. So you're going to spend 4 to 5 hours on your ferry ride to get there. It only leaves in the morning, so you don't have a lot of choices, and at times it turns around and comes back in the afternoon. If you want to go on a day trip, you can technically do that. You're not going to see a lot because you're going to get off the boat at noon, and you're going to get back at the dock at 2:45. So you're not going to see a lot, but you know, you can go get your National Park stamp. Royale, say you've been to the least visited of the lower 48. You do have to, as I keep saying, you do have to plan to go here. You have to plan. It's not a last minute sort of place to go. This is the island, and if you're taking, you're taking a ferry, hitting the wrong button, you're going to get off here. If you're taking the Michigan ferries, you're going to get off here at Rock Harbor. You can also take the ferry around and get off at the Southwest. And this is what a lot of backpackers and canoeists do. They get off here and backpack in canoe up to Rock Harbor and then there. So, but the most populated area is Rock Harbor, right up here. And when you take the ferry, after you get through 4 or 5 hours on the ferry, you're going to see this as you approach Royale. You've got the lodges over here, and there's a central National Park building, recreation building, restaurants, whatever here. Now, if you are going to Royale, you are going to eat at the restaurant 3 meals a day, or you're going to bring your own food. There's no grocery store there. So again, you have to plan. There's a little camp store. You can get beef jerkies, junk food, and energy bars, and camp equipment, and mosquito spray that you will need. But you cannot get groceries. So you've got to bring your own food. You can bring your food on the ferry. You can bring a canoe on the ferry, but you cannot bring a bike. I don't think you can bring a bike. Can you bring a bike? No. Or a car. I mean, this is not the kind of ferry where you bring a car. There are no cars there. So, being that the food for the restaurant is coming with you on the ferry, you're going to pay a high price to eat there. The food is very good at the restaurant, but it is expensive. Once you get there, they corral you off the boat to give you the rules of the road. And the first question they ask is, what animal causes more deaths in America's national parks? Moose or bears?
What do you mean? Moose. Bears.
Well, I would have said bears. I mean, not here, because there are no bears on Isle Royale. And I knew that. But I would have thought national parks, it would be bears. But it's moose. And they always look so nice, warm, cuddly, fuzzy, but they are big. So, yeah, it's the moose that they tell you, you better keep your good 20 feet away from the moose. And sometimes that's not as easy as you would think here. Now this is the lodging. There are options for you in Iowa. This is the most common one, the tent. Okay, if you're backpacking, you're going to bring your tent. If you're canoe packing, you're going to bring your tent. There are some wooden structures there that first come, first serve in the campgrounds that you can stay one night. So if you're lucky, you might be able to do that on a rainy day. That might be nice. This is the cabin. This cabin that we had. This picture does not do it justice. They're very nice cabins. This one slept 5, had big windows in the back, a big kitchen, and it was very comfortable, very scenic. And this is the lodge, which is a hotel. I can't speak for what that is like. I've never been in there. Neither of them are inexpensive because obviously it's supply and demand, very low supply and relatively high demand. Now, I'm bringing this point up. We had made our reservation for that cabin by now. Okay, I think it was January 2 or 3 that we got our reservations. So if you want to go there and stay in the lodge, I can't speak as much for the lodge, or the cabin, you better get your phone out right now and get your reservation because they go very quickly. So again, you really have to have your ducks in a row to go Royale. Now, what do you do when you get there? This is not a typical destination, and one of the reasons it's least visited, is maybe that it doesn't offer as many options as many other parks do. It does not have the kind of scenic eye candy that you would get over at like Old Faithful, in Yosemite and the Canyon, Grand Canyon. But and also, it's a place you're going to go immerse yourself in. Just immerse yourself in the climate, the geology, the geography, and to be physically active. What you can do is you arrange for water taxis to take you to different spots around the island. You take a national park excursion boat to different areas around the island. And the excursions you sign up for when you get there. Okay, you don't have to worry about doing that ahead of time because it all depends on the weather. You don't know. They don't know what they're going to do yet ahead of time either. You can rent a canoe, bring your own canoe, rent a motorboat, and everybody in our party did all of those things. So you're not going to get bored there. This is the water taxi stand here, and this is the National Park excursion boat, which will take you out to smaller islands around the major island there. And there are a lot of nice places to visit. Hiking trails. Now, if you're just going to Lock Harbor, there are a few shorter hiking trails. By shorter, I mean about 4.3 miles. But you can shorten that one. That one's up there. That's the Stoll Trail with the Eagle's Nest at the end there. And you could go over to Happy Harbor over here, go through to 8.8 to 6.4 miles. Or some of the islands have short nature trails. But, and it's kind of funny when there's a book here that has all the nature trails in it, or all the hiking trails in it. And I strongly recommend that you don't go by their ratings if you look at this. What they call an easy trail is not, by our standards in the Midwest here, in Metroparks, easy. This is an island that's rock. Okay, it was a mountain range, as was the Pavilion before glacial melt formed Lake Superior. It is rock. And you're going to be scrambling and clambering over a lot of rocks, and that is hard work. Many people, the people who are backpacking are going to come up the Greenstone Ridge Trail, and we did take part of the Greenstone Ridge Trail over there, which I'll cover in a minute. Now this is the Stoll Trail by Lock Harbor. It starts out pretty simple. it gets boggy and it gets much more rocky towards the end when you get towards the eagle's nest. You can see it's very northwoodsy, very beautiful. This is another boggy trail, boggy portion of the Stoll Trail. And yes, there is a moose up there. They do get in your way sometimes. This is our family, and we're going off on the Greenstone Ridge Trail, the one that goes down here. And notice how perky we look. Now, you practically had to carry John and I. Yes. But anyway, we are the oldest, John and I. So we were the slowest. And what we did was we started here at Rock Harbor and took a water taxi around to the other end of the island and climbed up to the Greenstone Ridge and took the Greenstone Ridge Trail down. Now that doesn't look very long, but this is 50 miles. So it's a long island, very long there. So we went up there to a place called Lookout Louise, and then we started going down the trail. Now, we don't have very many pictures of the Greenstone Ridge Trail, and there's several reasons for that. One is the foliage is up here, and the rocks are down here, and you can't see the rocks. So you need to be using your poles. You don't have time to be taking pictures. And the other thing is, the mosquitoes were so bad that you're busy swatting. So you can swat mosquitoes or you can take pictures, but you can't do both. And that's especially for me. For some reason, they don't go after him. They go after me. So, but it is very rocky, and the one picture we didn't take is this one where I was walking around, took a face plant. I felt like a troll grabbed my leg and pulled me down. Didn't know it happened. But at that point, it was just funny, because what can you do? You can't turn around, you gotta keep going. So we took a picture of this, one picture we didn't take, and we kept going. We proceeded to get lost, so the 10.2-mile trail turned into 12. And that's because everybody else was way ahead of us, because we were the slow ones, and that's why we got lost. Now, people go to Royale because there's so much known about the wolves and the moose. And the wolf population and the moose population are studied there. And right now, the wolf population is very minimal, and the moose population is very high. At other points in the past, it's been the opposite. The chance of seeing a wolf there is very low right now, unless you go to the southwest and you backpack up. You're probably not going to see a wolf. But you are going to see other things. There are loons, which you generally hear at night more than you see. And there are beavers in the ponds and lakes in the central part of the island. And there are moose. Okay? John and my brother, as soon as we got there, they took off to walk. And this moose was in their way. And you have to wait till it moves because you can't approach it. So you will see moose. This bull moose was going around our cabin, young bull moose. And he kind of made us a prisoner because you can't get out of the cabin because you can't get close to the moose. Now, he wasn't doing that on purpose, of course. He was after those delicious, wonderful thimbleberries that grew all around our cabin. So he was eating them. Those are delicacies for us. You know, those are the expensive berries and jams that you get out in the Upper Peninsula in Canada. So you will see moose if you're there, at least today. This was up on the Greenstone Ridge Trail looking down. We did get a picture of the sky and the water. So if you want to see moose, I highly recommend Royale. This is sandhill crane. They come here sometimes in the summer. The flora is wonderful. I like wildflowers, and I made a list of about 80 of them that I saw there. Some of them are common to us and to that area, and some less so, like the northern paintbrush here. And it's really exciting if you go to Raspberry Island. There's a lot of carnivorous wildflowers, like the pitcher plant in the center there, Raspberry Island. So that's Long Island off Rock Harbor. So this is a picture I just took of the morning too. And this is, believe it or not, about, I think, 9:30, 10 o'clock at night when I took this. Summer days in July are very long up there, or that far north. So that is pretty much Royale. And if you have any questions, you can wait to the end. And we do have things up here, maps and things from Royale. And as we go to Voyageurs, this is neither Voyageurs nor Royale. It's just a little offshoot. When we go, as I said, every summer we go up north, and when you zip off the state of Michigan, it sometimes gets kind of boring. It's fast, but there's nothing to see. So what we do is we go to Ludington and take the Badger across Lake Michigan to Manitowoc, Wisconsin, and go up there just to vary our route. The Badger is the only steamship still operating
In the United States.
in the United States. Okay, not just the Great East, but the United States. So it's kind of interesting. Okay, let's go to Voyageurs. Now you'll notice both Voyageurs and Royale have French names. But that's not a coincidence. They are on the fur trading path in the 1617, maybe part of the 1800s. Voyageurs has a lot of history in the national park about the Voyageurs. And so what the Voyageurs did is they took paddled these big canoes up to where the Ojibwa Indians were, and they trapped and they traded with the Voyageurs who brought the furs back down through this area, the boundary waters, and ultimately to Quebec. Now, what's really cool about it is and that's the 5th least visited national park in the lower 48. And there's a lot of history in the museum-like things around there. Again, this is another very water-based park. You can see that. You don't come here to bike or to hike so much. I wouldn't say you do hike but you do a lot of boating. And there's a lot of hiking in here, but you've got to take a canoe, rent a canoe, take an excursion boat in National Park, runs, and then you have to go in here, basically, to do your hiking. They have two major visitor centers, one over here on the west, which is right off of International Falls, Minnesota's right there, and the Ash River, is a smaller one right here. And so this is where you will leave to go to visitor destinations all around here and on these small islands throughout. Now, what I really recommend, and this is a great place to go for families, what I really recommend if you decide to go here is to rent a houseboat. What you do is you rent the boat and you go all the way around wherever you want to go. You can go on these little islands, and people sometimes just dock there, and there may be a beach in one of them, and they'll go out and they'll swim, or there are some grills on some of them where you can eat. Of course, the houseboats have kitchens. And you can just mosey on through all this lake area. And Unfortunately, we did not do this because we didn't have a good count of how many people were going to be with us before we had to get to the point of renting the houseboat. So we took National Park excursion boats, but that looked like so much fun. Now, I learned my lesson. I learned my lesson from Royale, and you need mosquito equipment, okay? If you go either to Royale or, I have to admit, when I got to Royale, I ran into a woman with a mosquito net, and I thought, oh, how can you wear such an ugly thing? Well, I really learned quickly why you can. So when I got to Voyageurs, I had my mosquito netting with me. So these are some of the excursions boats you take by National Park runs these, and they take you to different islands where these are just some people fishing, where you can get off. Some of these islands have old mining camps and lumbering camps where you can go through and walk through. They're very nice. And some have different resorts, old resorts, stuff they have restored. And so you can see a lot of people are walking around there. Now, what I like, oops, I didn't cover that. I had a different picture on here. What I like to go up there and get is the Ojibwe Indians sell wild rice, which they harvest there. And I have a picture of some of that there. That's why I made the wild rice nut bread, to get you in the mood of the area. It's different to me, I do that. But it is something community. Okay, that's it for the Northwoods. And now I'm going to turn you over to John. Is this it? He's going to take you from Detroit Airport all the way to Las Vegas. And,
okay. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Now we're going to go to a very different national park, quite a bit further south, a lot drier, a lot hotter. Death Valley National Park, and it's the largest national park in the lower 48. And it's 3,000 square miles altogether. It's something you want to go there in the 3 seasons. You don't want to go there in the summer unless you're a masochist, because the temperatures can get upwards of 130 degrees. So, and also it's very harsh environment. It's probably the hardest and driest national park we have in the United States. There are very few places you can see there. It's in relation to California. It takes up a lot of space. Also, there are few places to stay there, so you have to really reserve something ahead of time. And the restaurants tend to be very expensive because they have to trek in food from the surrounding areas. Okay, this is the entrance. We flew from Detroit to Las Vegas, rented a car, and then drove to the park. This is the southern entrance of the park. As Carol mentioned, we were there in late January, early February. Actually, going into the park, it was snowing a little bit, which you wouldn't do in the summer. The first place we went to, here, by the way, this is where we stayed. This is just a small part of it. We stayed at what they call the Ranch at Death Valley. And it's a really extensive hotel, and this is just some of the back rooms that we stayed in. Now, the first trip we took was south in the park. We went up Golden Canyon with a ranger-led hike about a half mile up the canyon. But then we continued and did a circle and came around Gower Gulch and then back to the parking lot. This is, at the picture on the left is at the entrance of the canyon. You know, I might also add, I don't know if you have any Star Wars fans in here, but the first episode of Star Wars, they filmed a lot in Death Valley. That was Tatooine. I almost expected Obi-Wan Kenobi to be walking down the trail. And actually I went back and saw the first episode again and recognized some of the landmarks. So this is a little bit further up the trail. And then we are on our own. You see my wife walking up the trail. Going up, this is going up the trail, and this is looking back, and you can see the mountains on the far side of the park. Then this is coming around the bend, going back to the parking lot. You just go around here. Okay, the next place we went to is a little bit south of Golden Canyon, was called Natural Bridge. And we had to drive up this really bad road for 2 miles off the main highway. I wish I would have had a 4-wheel drive. And then hike up about 1 mile to the Natural Bridge. And this is rock, gravel, and sediment that washed down from an ancient mountain and solidified or cemented together. There's a... Whoop. There's the bridge right there. This is on the way up there, and then on the way down, another hiker took a picture of my wife and I next to the canyon wall. And okay, the next place we went was a little bit further a little bit different in the park. And we took Interstate 190, and just outside of the park, we went to a place called Father Crawley's Vista Point. And this is looking west over into the next valley and next mountain range. And this is a plaque. This is a plaque, a dedication of Father Crawley. He was a Catholic priest that serviced the community back in the 1930s. Next place he went to is Mesquite Flat Sand Dunes, and that was towards the center of the park. And going back to Star Wars, you know, the first episode when the droids took that escape pod and landed on a sand dune-like area, well, this is where they filmed it. Here's a looking west on the mountains on the far right side of the park. And a couple more pictures. A very nice place. It was fun going up and down the sand dunes. We spent a couple hours there walking around. A lot of people out there then too. Then going further into the park, we went to, I guess, a sort of outdoor museum, you might say. They mined a lot of borax in Death Valley. They had an operation there called the Harmony Borax Works. It was started in 1881. The completion was finished. All the structures were finished about 1883, and then it was in operation until 1888, 5 years. At the height of operations, it employed 40 people, and they produced 3 tons of borax every day. Right here is the processing area where they process the borax. And then this is one of the carts they put the borax in, and they had a mule team of 20 mules that they hauled the borax out of Death Valley. I think there used to be a product they called 20 Mule Team Borax. That's where they got the name, you know. Okay, then we went to the eastern part of the park, and this is Selinsky Point. This is up above the park, actually above Golden Canyon. Golden Canyon is down there someplace. And I took a picture. I walked down from the observation point and took a picture. You can see the terrain a little bit better here. You have a lot of yellow and brown striped hills. And this was carved out by the force of water ages ago. And this is looking back towards the east. This is This is the road we came in on. We got off the road and went into the parking lot to go to the observation point. Okay. Now the next place we went to was Badwater Basin. Now that's the lowest point in the United States, 282 feet below sea level. It was called this is the remains of an inland lake that dried up and left deposits of sodium chloride and other minerals. and it covers about 200 square miles. And it was called Badwater Basin because I guess in the past some burro or donkey tried to drink the water and spit it out because it was too salty, so they called it Badwater Basin. This is out on the surface itself. It was kind of cool walking out there. It reminded me of the Great Salt Flats west of Salt Lake City, where they do a lot of racing of cars. And the last day, we at the place we stayed at, they had a corral and horses. We took a short horseback ride. And of course, in the summer, they transport the horses further north so they don't sweat too much. And this is we had 5 of us on this excursion. And this is looking west again into the western side of the park. I think we were out there for about 1.5 to 2 hours. And after this, we went back to Las Vegas, and we stopped at Hoover Dam briefly. And this is the interior where you see the generators, and my wife is standing on the observation platform where you can get a good view of the dam. And finally, this is me at the airport playing the slot machines, waiting for our flight to arrive. I think I actually won a couple of dollars. And that's the end of the presentation. I guess what we're going to do now is open it up if anybody has any questions about the park. Yeah.
I was just wondering, what were the temperatures in West Valley when you were in?
Well, yeah, it was pretty mild. We were there, in fact, when I said we went into the park, it was actually snowing a little bit, but it got up in the 70s, low 70s at the most. And if you go there in the summer, it's quite a bit hotter. But it was pretty comfortable. Yeah. Anybody else? Back there?
I had a question about Voyageurs.
I was wondering about, you said the salt water, the bad water.
Yeah.
So the ocean water was in there at one time?
Well, it was an inland lake, and it dried up, and it left a very salty, smaller lake. And there's still some water there, but not very much anymore.
So it's, okay, it's like Salt Lake.
Yeah, like Salt Lake and Salt Lake City.
It's not the ocean.
It's not connected with the ocean at all. No. Anybody else? Yeah.
I was wondering about Voyageurs. You didn't stay on a houseboat. Where did you stay?
We stayed in a Airbnb.
We stayed on an Airbnb, but if you rent the houseboat, you stay on the houseboat.
Right, but is there a park lodge?
I don't know if they have
Yes, there is a lodge.
Okay, I guess.
There is a national park lodge. It is actually on that big island in the middle that I showed you. So you can reserve that, and you get you have to take some sort of boat over to the lodge.
Okay, thank you. Wonderful.
Oh, right there.
John, in Voyager, did you wear mosquito netting?
No, I didn't. But mosquitoes like her a lot better than me. She's a lot sweeter than I am, I guess. But I did have a lot of teat on. Yeah.
And what about water when you were in Death Valley? Water supply.
Well, you want to make sure you carry a lot of water with you. It's pretty hot and dry there.
As a matter of fact, in the restrooms in the national park sites, there's one place I've seen it. I'm sure there are other places. They have posters where you're supposed to, how do I put this delicately? You match your urine color up to the colors they have up there. And if your urine color is too yellow, you have to drink water. They tell you that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
They've had some people go there in the summer and run into a lot of trouble at times. You know, they don't carry enough water, they get too far off the trail, and it can be a bad situation sometimes. But you don't want to go there in the summer unless you were testing your endurance or something, I don't know. Yeah.
I had a question about the Royale. You said that you can't take a lot of things with you on the ferry out there, like your own kayaks and stuff. But can you rent a bicycle up there, or is it only
You
the
can
boats?
take your canoe,
Okay.
Or kayak, yeah.
you don't see kayaks up there very much though. I don't know why that is, probably because of the waters, maybe too rough at some place. But you can take your own canoe. Bikes, I never saw a bike.
Okay.
Well, I know when we unloaded the ferry, you saw dozens and dozens of backpacks coming off the ferry.
Yeah, tons of
I
them.
figured it was a little too rocky for bicycles.
Yeah,
I don't know, you might take a bike to
I never
ride.
saw one there when we used to backpack there. It's too rough, there's too many rocks.
Yeah,
There might be some real limited
Yeah, go
areas
ahead.
around the lodge.
well, we've gone down Royale 4 times, always with a canoe. We've seen plenty of kayaks, never seen a bike.
No.
You can't rent a bike there that I know of.
No, I don't think so,
You
no.
can't have any wheeled vehicles, not even for your canoe. And there's one portage we went that was 2.25 miles. That was the rockiest place we went.
Yeah.
Was because it was so long. The first part of it and the top part was all exposed
Which
rock.
one? What part?
From Mossy
Mosby Basin.
Basin over to the big lake that's in the bottom, Cisco Lake. And you described it pretty well. We did very little hiking except for that long portage. And we did a lot of canoeing and we did some fishing. And if you want to do that route, you can contact us sometime. But it's a great place to go.
It's kind of a backpacker's paradise. A lot of people go up there to backpack.